affects firefighters, affects multiple families. It's a real tragic situation.
The West's extreme heat too much for one Arizona boy on a hike. His life lost tonight, a sobering reminder of the dangers of soaring temperatures. Hi, everyone, and good evening. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Frank Malakote. A 10-year-old boy collapsed on a hiking trail in Phoenix, scorching heat today. His case, one example of the brutal conditions developing all across the West Coast. There's no way for some firefighters to escape the heat. Hundreds are working through soaring temperatures as wildfire spread across California. Governor Gavin Newsom has declared a state of emergency over the Thompson fire now burning in Butte County. Nearly 30,000 people have already been evacuated. KTVU's Tom Vakar reports conditions are brutal for crews out in the fire zone.
Air attack after air attack after air attack surely slowed the fire, but the fire continued to grow. Containment still stands at zero. With winds still blowing, Kelly Ridge, with many homes, is right next to the Oroville Dam and remains threatened as the fire ebbs and flows. 28,000 people have been evacuated and more than 12,000 structures are still at risk. 4 have been destroyed. Firefighters from far and wide waited for the Thompson fire to take a stand to defend the homes if the fire moves towards them. There are currently more than 1,400 firefighters fighting the blaze, with the air support slowing the blaze's spread so ground crews can completely extinguish it. The name of the game is to make sure that every hot spot, every flame, anything that can restart a fire is put out. And that's what this helicopter and many, many more are doing right now. At least 8 firefighters have been injured, 4 due to heat, another fighting the fire, and 3 were injured in a vehicle accident. These 5 trucks are a task force from the Bay Area, ranging from San Rafael down to Menlo Park. The idea is mutual aid to help others, but it'll also make them much better firefighters should a wildfire strike closer to home.
We get to see different terrain, different fire behavior, just a lot more experience, sets and reps, and being able to just different experiences and bring that back home and make you a more effective firefighter back in your home agency. State mutual aid rules require that these crews be here for a 14-day deployment. Often the local resources, become task saturated, overwhelmed, and they need to reach out to the neighboring counties and even, throughout the state to supplement their resources to handle the incident. It's reported that a third of the nation's population is under some sort of heat advisory, watch, or warning. 110 million Americans, people in 21 states. Tom Vakar, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Thank you, Tom. More than a dozen other wildfires are burning across California tonight. The largest are in the state's Central Valley. Crews say they have the Fresno June Lightning Complex fire 93% contained tonight. It started last week when Fresno County got hit with several lightning strikes. More than 10,000 acres have already burned. And the Basin Fire, burning about 20 miles northeast of that location, that is 26% contained and has burned nearly 14,000 acres. One firefighter's post on social media gives you a sense of what it takes to organize crews to attack fires this big.
Tolk is the takeoff and landing coordinator. Since we aren't at a airbase or an airport that has a tower, that Tolk is operating as the tower person. So when an aircraft is going to take off or they're landing back on base, that Tolk is in charge of giving the pilot the wind direction, the wind speeds, any hazards that might be in the area, and then clearing them down to land or lift from the airport. All this ribbon and flagging is one of our safety precautions to make sure that people are aware of what's going on past this. And anytime we need to get out to an aircraft, we're going to contact the box, and they're also not in charge of just the missions coming into the base, but also all the traffic on the base itself, so vehicles driving around or personnel walking around.
All hands on deck. Investigators are still trying to figure out what caused that basin fire. Now getting back to Arizona's heat-related tragedy, a 10-year-old boy has died after collapsing during soaring temperatures. Fox 10's Lauren Clark reports the boy lost his life a few hours after rescue crews reached him on a hiking trail.
Affects everyone. It affects firefighters, affects multiple families. It's a real tragic situation.
A sight difficult for first responders, a young child struggling in the hot July heat. Skyfox captured the team helping the boy before airlifting him to the hospital. He later died there from his heat-related injuries.
Just stay off the mountains. It's extremely hot out right now.
Todd Keller with Phoenix Fire says it's a grave example of how deadly the heat can be.
You got to remember, if you're going hiking, you're not only putting yourself at danger, you're putting your firefighters at danger also.
Officials say the family started on the mountain at 9:30 in the morning. The call came in around 2 at the Mormon trailhead. Keller warns that visitors and those new to the valley might not understand just how hazardous these summer temperatures can be, and warns that even hiking early can be dangerous this time of the year.
These people are hiking, maybe they'll start around 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. It's 105 plus degrees, so that heat does sneak up on them.
If we have prolonged exposure to the heat and we're not hydrating appropriately, that can cause us to be at risk probably for not only dehydration, but heat exhaustion with prolonged exposure to the heat.
A sentiment echoed by naturopathic physician Sarah Traha, who says this can be particularly difficult when you're outside hiking, getting your heart rate up. This afternoon, around the same time crews arrived to help the boy, our temperature gun recorded 136 degrees on the trail, 107 in the shade. The sidewalk, a blazing 147.
But just be smart about it, don't risk anything, even if you're young and healthy.
And that was Fox 10's Lauren Clark reporting. Some hiking trails in the Phoenix area, they shut down when the temperatures top 105 degrees. Sadly, South Mountain is not one of them. Another place people are really feeling the heat tonight is in Las Vegas. Live look at conditions in the city where temperatures topped out at 110 today. You can see the sun in all its glory is still burning bright. Let's bring in KTVU Chief Meteorologist Bill Martin, who can tell us what to expect from the heat over the big 4th of July holiday. Bill?
Yeah, Frank, the heat is definitely a West Coast event. Check out this big just bowl of high pressure, basically a heat dome over the western United States. Temperatures are going to stay. This is the forecast model, and you can see that clockwise flow of that high staying put, meaning that that high is not really budging much. And so the Central Valley of California, parts of the Pacific Northwest, heck, Portland, 80 degrees right now. Everybody in purple, all the way down to Vegas, those are 100-degree readings. So temperatures are well above the average in many places, and it's going to stay this way in California for the next week or so, maybe even a little more, but I think it's going to have an impact on other places like down in Las Vegas and Phoenix and in those areas. It will be hot as well. There's an excessive heat warning in effect for Portland right now, excessive heat warning for San Francisco, heat advisories, red flag warnings. Here we are down in San Diego, same thing. Another excessive heat warning stays in effect, and that stays in effect through Monday. So this is a prolonged heat event, and especially for places like San Francisco and Portland. You're not used to having multiple days of very warm or high temperatures, and in fact you do. You're going to have that. So as we go through the next couple of days, we're looking for temperatures to continue to be hot. These forecasts here represent the next few days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So 4th of July into the weekend. San Francisco, you're like, okay, well, that 90's not bad, 85's not bad, 81's not. It's San Francisco, and it's July. That's hot, really hot, especially in a city that doesn't have much air conditioning. Southern California, Los Angeles, same thing. Lots of concrete, lots of urban heat island impact, and so you're doing mid-80s, even some upper 80s, all the next 72 hours. And then Phoenix, as you would expect, 110 plus each day as you go into the holiday weekend. And then Denver, still hot. So with that, you have increased fire danger, most certainly. You're looking at temperatures that are going to continue to stay on the well above average side, which will have hard consequences on folks who have pre-existing health conditions, especially in those areas hit with 100-degree readings, especially in California, where we're looking at temperatures, like I said, that are going to be like this. You're looking at, lots of excessive heat warnings, and they're going to continue for numerous days. So what I just say, it's hot. Get used to it, especially from California south into Phoenix and Vegas and Los Angeles. I'll see you back here next time.
All righty, Bill, thank you for that. Doctors stress it's very important for people to understand simple outdoor tasks can get very dangerous during our extreme heat. Fox 10's Christina Carilla shows us how they're using one Arizona patient's experience to to drive home that message.
71-year-old Robert Woolley is a retired teacher and former Navy fighter pilot, and he believes he's a walking miracle. Last summer, he would have never imagined he would be where he is today.
I wish it was someone else that was here talking about a contact burn and not myself.
On July 3rd, 2023, Robert was in his backyard when he got distracted by something, lost his balance and fell, suffering second-degree burns on 15% of his body.
When I was pushing on the rocks, they moved, but I didn't. And I pushed and pushed until I couldn't stand it anymore. And I looked at my hands, and the skin had peeled off my palms like the skin from an onion. And it looked like raw hamburger underneath, and I couldn't use my hands anymore.
After spending several minutes on the ground, his wife and son were able to pull him inside, and that's where he was rushed to Arizona Burn Center.
And they did 2 hours of surgery cutting away burned skin, let it cook for another 4 days, did 5 more hours of surgery, cut away the rest of the dead skin and did the skin grafts.
Robert spent 5 months at the center, dealing with a roller coaster recovery.
It's traumatic, both physically and psychologically. My heart kept racing every single day with irregular beats.
He says he's almost fully healed and is thankful for the treatment he received.
The treatment I got here was awesome. I feel like I'm about 95% healed, and I'm looking forward to the day where it's just scars and memories.
And Robert has this advice for seniors that say this can't happen to them.
And as a senior, if you fall, it's harder and harder to get up. The air is hot, but the ground is unbelievably hot.
And that was Christina Carrillo reporting. So far, the Arizona Burn Center at Valleywise Health has treated nearly 3 dozen contact burn patients this summer.
It's a lot to now to lose somewhere you grew up in.
A house in the West destroyed. The family who lived there devastated. Coming up, why they think someone setting off illegal fireworks is to blame. And we're going to hear from a Utah couple riding out a monster hurricane in Jamaica. Coming up. Welcome back. West Coast residents are among the people hunkering down in Jamaica tonight. A live look at the island that is currently taking a beating from Hurricane Beryl. And people all across Jamaica started seeing the impacts of a Category 4 storm this morning. This is what it looked like in their capital of Kingston this morning. That storm still crossing the region, making it very difficult to understand the full scope of Jamaica's damage. Images are surfacing tonight of widespread damage left behind in Grenada. Collapsed buildings, downed trees, boats pushed onto land by the surge of the storm. Only some of the problems. At least 6 people have died in the storm across the southeastern Caribbean. A Utah husband and wife who are in Jamaica to renew their vows say they are prepared for the worst. The resort where they're staying moved them to a new room considered safer for riding out the storm. Before conditions deteriorated today, they spoke about the possibility Beryl will make it very difficult to stay in touch with their loved ones.
Just don't know, but we have a plan to communicate via WhatsApp. We're just hoping for the best, and hopefully we'll get home safe and on time.
Beryl is on track to hit Mexico's Gulf Coast territory over the weekend near Texas' southern border. And people who want to see right to the access abortion enshrined in Arizona's Constitution turned over signatures today. They think will get that issue on the upcoming November ballot. Fox 10's Dominique spoke with the people on both sides of the controversial issue after a months-long petition campaign.
Well, hey, they're both for and against abortion access, definitely making their voices heard earlier this morning, both holding press conferences on opposite side of the Arizona State Capitol. So let's do a recap of what happened today. First, beginning with the Arizona for Abortion Access, who submitted signatures to the Arizona Secretary of State earlier this morning at 8:30 a.m. And there should be video we can show you of the ballots coming off that truck. Organizers collected their goal of about 800,000 signatures papers that they needed and for them to be deemed valid. And they're working towards restoring and protecting the right to access abortion and health care decisions. And if that happens, Arizona voters will be asked whether to add in the state constitution to the right of an abortion. Now, I spoke with people on both sides of this topic, also including the It Goes Too Far campaign, who had their news conference at 10 a.m. Here's what both had to say.
I believe that abortion is health care, and it should be as available as any other health care is to residents in Arizona, no matter what situation they may need that care.
We are going throughout the state educating people on just how far this amendment goes. We know we have until November to reach as many Arizona voters as possible to make sure that they are armed with the information that they deserve to have before they vote on an amendment.
Now, Arizona for Abortion Access spokesperson John Pinich said it was the most signatures ever submitted by a citizens initiative in state history. Election officials say August 22nd is the deadline for county recorders to verify petition signatures and provide certified results to the Arizona Secretary of State's office. Of course, signature turn-ins. This is the next major step towards placing this measure on the November ballot for Arizona voters. I'll send it back to you.
And that was Fox 10's Dominique Newland reporting. Similar measures are already set to hit the November ballot in Colorado and Nevada. Police in Modesto, California, showing off video from one of their helicopters used to crack down on illegal fireworks. This video from last weekend shows one such incident. Fireworks are considered legal in that city this week only, though tomorrow night at 10, through tomorrow. The fine for illegal fireworks can be as high as $4,000. A family in Southern California is homeless after their house was set on fire by someone playing with fireworks. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez reports from Palmdale, where family members who were there at the time described a very close call.
Even from a distance, you can feel the emotion as family members escort Cristina Rivas on the first time she sees what's left of her home. She was out of town when the Palmdale house the family built over 20 years ago exploded in flames Sunday night with her mother and 2 daughters in it.
All of a sudden I hear like a boom.
She says someone was setting illegal fireworks in the empty fields behind their neighborhood when at least one hit the house, breaking a sliding glass door.
My sister had gone to pick something up off the floor.
Yeah,
if she didn't duck, she would have gotten hit by the fire.
Probably would have got killed because the glass, the exploded, the back window exploded. It knocked her, cut her up, bruised her.
They escape alive, but the house is totaled. The family, 7 of them, living in a trailer that somebody has lent them. Cleanup crews getting ready to secure the burned out shell of the home, but they pause to let Christina and her family take a look.
It's a lot. It's a lot to now to lose somewhere you grew up in.
And that was Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez reporting. The city of LA has agreed to pay millions of dollars to people injured and displaced in a fireworks explosion set off by the police. LA City Council approved a $21 million settlement for those affected by the LAPD's botched handling of fireworks. This happened 3 years ago. The bomb squad ignited the massive explosion of illegal fireworks on 27th Street. 17 people were injured. 35 buildings were damaged and dozens of residents were displaced. Some have been living in a downtown hotel ever since.
Happy. I'm really happy for my family. I'm really happy for everybody in 27. It's nice to be in a hotel, but birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, holidays, everything is awful.
That settlement includes housing until February and $848,000 towards a new community fund. It's unclear how the rest of the money will be allocated. Up next, this week's heat wave is reaching all parts of the West Coast. Coming up, where people are running into new snowfall, believe it or not. And we're hearing tonight from the man behind Spaceport. Coming up, he's going to make his case for turning Las Vegas into a space tourism destination. Stay right there. Getting back to wildfire activity across the West now. Crews are battling more than a dozen wildfires across Alaska tonight. Video posted online showing how firefighters are attacking one of those fires north of Anchorage. The Riley fires burned nearly 400 acres near Denali National Park and Preserve. Currently, that is 10% contained. And today's investigators announced a lightning strike is to blame for the wildfire in Ruidoso, New Mexico, that killed 2 people and damaged over 1,400 structures there. The South Fork fire, first reported June the 17th, now 87% contained after burning over 27 square miles. Nearby Salt Fire remains under investigation. It burned 12 square miles. Authorities saying it's currently 84% contained. FBI, which also investigated the South Fork fire, is offering a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction of whoever is responsible for starting that Salt Fire. And we have an update tonight on plans to turn Las Vegas into a hub for space tourism. Fox 5's Shana Khalifa spoke with the developer of Spaceport to get his take on bringing space exploration to the masses.
Plans are taking off for a new airport in Las Vegas and possibly Nevada's first gateway to outer space. The FAA has approved the private-use Las Vegas Executive Airport, which will be located about 31 miles west of Harry Reid. The CEO and developer says they plan to break ground on the runway in 3 months.
That's the first step. And of course, we want to take advantage of F1 and all the events where there's not enough room for the planes to come in. So we plan to have a facility there for those private jets.
He says phase 2 of the project will include building a terminal and hangars for those private jets, and then phase 3, a hotel and casino. But he says future plans for the space reach far higher than Earth's atmosphere.
Later this summer, we'll be starting our plans for the spaceport, and we'll be filing our application to build a spaceport here in Las Vegas. And that'll take about 2 years through the FAA Spaceport Division.
He says the spaceport would include a space pilot school, a post-high school STEM academy, and a takeoff and landing mechanism for space planes, not rockets.
We would be seeking a license for horizontal launched vehicles versus vertical launch rockets.
He anticipates that private space planes will become much more accessible in the coming years and says a spaceport here would make Las Vegas a hub for space tourism.
They'll be able to go to the moon, they'll be able to go to space stations in space, they'll be able to go fully into space, bring satellites into space, people into space. They're going to change the world as we know it. As much as the jet airliner changed the world, these space planes are going to change the world.
Shana Khalifa, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
The plans currently approved are for only construction of Spaceport's runway. That'll work could begin in the next 6 months. With guests at Estes Park in Colorado spotted wearing shorts and flip-flops this week, you wouldn't know the National Weather Service kicked off its snow season on July the 1st. This marks one of the earliest on records. One park staff member at Rocky Mountain National Park says without the right gear, even a little bit of snow and rain can be dangerous.
If you do get wet in a place like Rocky, it can get scary quickly because you can get chilled, you can get hypothermic. We do know that we've got some pretty severe lightning and thunderstorms that are in the forecast, and it is troubling to see visitors that just underestimate lightning.
If your 4th of July holiday plans include the great outdoors, experts recommend setting a plan to spend a little time inside. Want to thank you for joining us tonight. Have a safe 4th of July, everybody.